One of the MPs who voted for the exporting ban in spyware is Marietje Schaake, and she joins us now live from Amsterdam. Thank you very much for joining us. The companies involved say that this equipment does have commercial uses and isn't intended essentially to spy on its own citizens. In your opinion, how widespread is the use of this technology in Iran and other repressive regimes?
Well, quite frankly, we know that it's rampant, and what software and technologies are intended for is not always the only thing that it's used for, and I believe that the companies involved know very well, because besides exporting or trading in technologies and ICT tools, let's say, that cross borders, they also share know-how and often have people on the ground, consultants explaining to the local authorities and customers how to apply the tools and the software that they provide.
Now, the European Parliament did actually pass legislation in September to better regulate the export of telecoms equipment. In your opinion, clearly that hasn't gone far enough. Why do you think a ban is necessary?
Well, it's not going far enough because the control on the impact of these ICT products is always after the trade, and it's very difficult to monitor because it's not always hardware that's crossing borders, but also know-how that's shared at the click of a mouse, and that's transferred through people. And we have to make sure that we get a lot more transparency from the companies. They often work with spin-offs that are located and registered in tax havens. These companies are clearly not very eager to give an insight into the tools that they provide. They cite confidentiality, but our interest is the strategic interest of the EU. We have put in place sanctions on individuals in Iran who are held accountable for grave human rights violations, and it would seriously undermine the credibility of the EU if we have these sanctions on the one hand while our own EU-based telecom and ICT companies are providing precisely these tools and products that are violating human rights in Iran, but also in other countries.
I wanted to ask you about the companies themselves, because obviously from a corporate responsibility point of view, and indeed simply from a PR point of view, surely it must be damaging for these companies when you and others are telling the story about where their equipment is ending up and what's being done with it. What kind of response have you had from these companies?
Well, mostly the responses are very legalistic. They cite the exact sanctions on Iran, but the main problem is that we don't have enough transparency. A lot of these companies work with spin-offs that are registered outside of the EU field of oversight, and the companies are clearly not eager to give insights. Sure, on the one hand, there are companies like Vodafone, like Nokia, Siemens, who have direct consumer relations, but more and more we also see that security software companies don't even have, let's say, consumer relations, so they don't have that much of a reputation to lose when European consumers would find out, because they don't have these consumers. They only work with governments or state-owned companies or security and police services in these repressive environments. And so transparency throughout is very important, and it's regrettable to say, but it's been my observation that just listening to what the companies say themselves and their due diligence is not enough.
Okay. Marietje Schaake, thank you very much indeed for joining us.